Hey, everybody. Welcome to our 2-day Unlocking My Millions challenge. I'm your host, Chef Katrina. I know I'm a few minutes late popping on with you, but definitely wanted to invite you in to really look at what is Unlocking My Millions. So for many of you, you've been here just either recently, we've got some new members that are joining us inside of Unlocking My Millions already. Some of you are new to Truth Bomb Academy. And you might be saying to yourself, okay, how is this different? What makes this any different than anything else business training that I've gotten out there? And this is always a great question to start this conversation. So for those that don't know me, a little history. I really started building out Truth Bomb Academy because I fell in love with business. And I've always said if there's one thing I want to help more women do better at is the world of business, because oftentimes we're taught the marketing, we're taught how to put together a business, but we're not actually taught the financial structuring of sustainability for your business, right? So inside of Unlocking My Millions, it's not just about unlocking your $1,000,000. It's also about unlocking your millions of resources, your millions of ideas, your millions of opportunities that are literally one click away inside of this community. Now, women are different breeds altogether. We know this, right? Every time I ask this question to anybody, I say, do women and men build businesses differently? And absolutely, without a doubt, the answer is yes. Women do not build business the same way that men do. So why are we still following the traditional male model of business if it actually doesn't serve us as women for how we're building a business? And so that's really the start of this whole Unlocking My Millions challenge, is really getting you present to what's most important for you as a business owner. As a female, like, we have so many priorities. How many of you have tons of priorities? Things like your family, you've got, activities going on, you've got your health to worry about. Like, you feel like you wear so many different hats that you don't even know where to start, right? You're like, well, there's this hat that's for me, and then I have to put this hat on because I'm a mom, and then I got to put this hat on because I'm a wife, and then I'm a business owner, and then I'm a social media manager, then I'm the financial executive, and next thing you know, you're wearing so many hats, you didn't even know like where to find yourself. You've been putting on so many facades and so many looks around what you're doing. So when I started building Unlocking My Millions, it really was to serve women. Because one of the things that I saw with all those hats that we were building is that for a lot of women, they were burning out, and they were burning out fast. And what I mean by that is that they would get to the level of success of what they thought, they should have, whether financially or recognition wise, and then couldn't sustain it. It wasn't possible, right? Because of how they were building it. It was such this productivity, this constant ongoing need to do more, be more, have more. You know what? That's the masculine energy in our world. That is really where the men are always like, we've got to conquer, we've got to take over, we've got to, force the issue. We want to make something happen. And that masculine energy, while we own that and we can carry that as women, is not where we primarily should be playing. Honestly, because of that perpetual motion, we've lost what it means to actually be a woman, in my opinion. I feel like we are disassociated with ourselves and what we're doing in our lives. And how does this actually benefit us? How does our business benefit us if it's causing us more stress, if it's causing us to burn out, if it's not feeding us financially? The question is, what is your business actually doing for you? Is it just making friends? Right? Is it just barely putting food on the table only to have that money come in and go right back out the other side of the bank account because if you have expenses to cover? Like, this is the perpetual wheel that I see so many of us small business owners in, and especially for women, because we have so many other things on our plate. Our brains work vastly different than our male counterparts. And much of this isn't taken into consideration when they look at how they're teaching us to build a business. Men are very singular. Like, I was talking with my dad the other day when I was talking about, women need to talk it out. He's like, oh God, yeah, you guys really do need to talk it out. He's like, I just want to point A to like B. Like, he's like, just draw me the straight line, get me there. I don't need this back and forth, conversation, figuring it out. Like, that's a waste of my time. So that's one of the, like, this is my dad. I love him to pieces. So this is something that I see over and over again. Every time I was talking to men in business and my mentors and everything else, they were like, yeah, you do this, you get here, you do this, you get here. And I was like, man, I just feel like I'm constantly running to keep up. And I think one of the biggest comments I always like heard from a lot of women that I coach was, I always feel like I'm behind. I feel like I can never keep up. Like I just can't keep up that pace. And it's because women can't keep up the pace that men have. And we're not supposed to, for crying out loud. Like, take a breath, ladies. Take a breath. One of the best articles I read a while back was by somebody that Heidi and I follow, Dr. Remke. She's a naturalist, holistic health practitioner, and she's been really a lot of wealth of information around the difference between the male and the female body. And again, she's like us, really focusing in on like the foods that women need, the type of healthcare that women need, not what we're being told we should have, but really looking at what is it that we actually deserve and what kind of treatments do we need, right? Because we're different. We're vastly different from our men. So when we talk about the world of business, I love business, the structure. I think it's beautifully designed. It's really the backbone of the economics here in the United States, or the economy here in the United States, is smaller business owners really create the fabric of the community, what we can do. And women, especially, ladies, you guys are amazing because you come in with impact. You absolutely say, I want to make an impact. You absolutely say, I want to make a difference in the world. You absolutely say, I want to have the money that backs that up. And I want to be able to feel like I'm on equal footing out there in the business world. And I think the reasons that we don't have a lot of this, we don't have the impacts because we don't understand ourselves. And the reason for that is that it's been hidden from us. And it hasn't been something that we've actively pursued until within the last 30 to 40 years, right? It is crazy how little I actually knew about my body because it isn't studied. We are complex creatures, ladies, and we know that. And science hates us for that, by the way. The pharmaceutical companies hate that about us because they can't just create a one product fits all for humanity, because they recognize that what works for men doesn't always work for women because we are not built in the same chemical or hormonal makeup as the men. So if you're just joining me for the first time, you've never heard me talk about this, one thing I will tell you is that for me, one of the biggest revelations that I was diving into what makes business different for men and women. Like that really was the question. Like, what is the difference? What's the tangibility? How do you create two separate education platforms, one for men, one for women? So really honoring our energy and allowing us to really get to know our inner self and our habits, but doing it in a fun and playful way, right? And so one of the things that we talk about is the circadian rhythm. So men cycle inside of a circadian rhythm. That's the 24-hour clock. Most of us know this, right? We hear this all the time, like get outside, get your vitamin B. You want to be active. You use the sun and the sunset to like set your time period so you improve your overall sleep. All of this is taught to us, right? And so this is the primary focus. And that's the primary focus because this is how men's hormonal cycle works. They are the circadian rhythm, right? They wake up in the morning, their cortisol is high, their testosterone is high, they're getting things done, they're in the best of moods. Their mornings are their best. In the afternoons, their estrogen kicks in. Yes, men have estrogen too. And so that kicks in, and then they want to get social and they want to connect. And that's why usually they have their board meetings and afternoon meetings because this is their social time. They figured out how to bring forth their natural hormonal balance into the world of business. And that's why it's structured the way it's structured. And then in the evening time, of course, there's the happy hour, there's the downshifting. Then after happy hour, after they start relaxing, they're ready for bed. Why? Because their clock is going to start all over again the next day. What it's interesting, and when every time I talk to women about this one thing that we don't know is that we've been following the circadian rhythm, which is the male hormonal cycle. There is the yang to that, the yin to that, right? So there's always two sides to an energy level, hormonal level. And women, we actually have what we call an infradian rhythm. So there's our circadian rhythm, which is how men work. And then we work inside of that structure, by the way. And so our duality as women is the infradian rhythm. The infradian rhythm is our 28 to 31 day cycle. It's how we hormonally maneuver through our lives. And because of that, we do have a way different approach and thinking, because we're not a perpetual 24-hour clock. We are a slow moving up and down flow. We are the flow within the system, right? We're not the wheel that keeps turning it. We're what is being turned, right? We are the balance of the system. Because if we get overly productive, if we overproduce something, who's to say stop producing? Who's to say stop the flow? And that's usually where we come in as women. It's like, okay, I got enough in the house. Like, how much more do you want to bring in, right? And so this is where, for women, we're not the productivity schedule. We are the flow. We are the makeup. We're the fabric of why the men do what they do. And once we understand how we work internally and how it affects our brain function, how it affects our diet, how it affects our business, how it affects our relationships with our spouse, how it affects our children, how it affects our friendships. Once we start stripping away and understanding at our core that infradian rhythm, and we start leveraging it and we start working within our flow, do we then have the common footing that our male counterparts have in the world of business? Because we understand what makes us tick. We understand how to use our 28-day cycle to our advantage, right? Giving us our edge. And that way we're standing on equal footing because we understand ourselves. Men understand. And the structure and the patriarchy that we're all like bucking up against is because it's a patriarchy that men designed because they were the voice. But, since 1960, if not even earlier than that, 1920s, women have slowly been getting their voice, getting their presence, getting their way back. So this challenge for Unlocking My Millions is really the thank you to all the women that have come before us, that have been the scientists, that have gone into banking, have gone into finance, that have gone into business, and that have really been through the ringer to stand up and create the space for us, for women to be in industries that we're in. And while we can always say, well, we're not in all industries, well, the question I have is why not? And I believe truly in my heart of souls that the reasons we don't step into each one of these industries and own it for ourselves as a woman is because we don't understand, first and foremost, that we have the knowledge to do that. You've already been doing that. If you're a female, you've already been multitasking. You've already been, since pretty much the moment you could walk, you've probably been taking care of a friend, a spouse. You've learned to utilize your brain in so many different ways, and you don't even know it, because most of us, when we have our period and we start our period, there is a life-changing result that happens. Like you experience it as a young child, but the moment you hit, I guess, puberty, right? The moment you become a woman, there is a whole nother world that opens up to you. And that is the playground that most of us don't play in, honestly, because the science and the understanding of those 4 phases that we go through every single month have been hidden from us. It's only just now being studied. And when I mean just being studied, I mean scratching the surface studied. Okay. So we want to take this to the next level. So one of the biggest influences for me was a book called In the Flow by Elisa Vietti. If you guys are here inside of the Truth My Academy right now, you will see that we talk about that in here, the resources and things that we do mention. I think it's in here. I'll have to double check. I think I put it in here. If not, I'm gonna have to figure out where it is. But that book really started the process, a couple of books. Well, we always tend to lean towards business books and self-development. A lot of those books, for me, I started getting bored with because they were all the same thing and they were all written by men, just kind of shifting a little bit how they were saying it. And I was really looking for a different approach to business from a female perspective. Okay. I was looking for, what does a female business model look like? One that isn't so driven. And so being down the research of trying to understand what it is that we're missing as women in our day-to-day conversations with each other, 2 books was Pussy, the Reclamation of. That was one of the books that was really impactful. And then the second book that really made a difference for me was In the Flow by Elisa Vietti. And because of those 2 books, I really started looking at business world very differently. I started looking at what was it that's missing for women that if it were put in would shift and allow us to be confident, to be excited, to financially control all the resources and tools and the money that we have? Where could we let go to receive really everything that we want in our lives? What would that look like? And so my business partner, Heidi, and I really have sat down, and I tell you, when I say we have been brain thinking, we have been brain thinking. Okay. Because it really does take something to reimagine what's been missing for women. And we've tested it over and over and over again. And we're continuing to develop this training. By no means is this the end all be all. I still feel like there's much each woman that comes through Unlocking My Millions provides for women. So with that, who am I and why am I having this conversation with you? So my name is Chef Katrina. For those that are visiting or here for the first time and haven't heard my story, I'm a former chef from Walt Disney World. I worked there for almost 13 years. I had the pleasure of working in, I think, 7 different restaurants over the course of those 13 years. I started off was working as what they call a line cook and moved my way all the way up to middle management, which they call a sous chef. So I've had the opportunity to work in 5-star, 4-diamond restaurants, family style restaurants, quick service restaurants, you name it. I've had the pleasure of really being part of some fantastic experiences. What I recognized while I was cooking and towards the end of my career there is, while I loved cooking, what fascinated me even more was the world of business. And I found myself reading a lot of books around real estate financing, around business banking, around how to scale a business. And then I started looking at the structure of Disney where I was working. And I started looking at how they did their branding, how they did their marketing. And I became really curious around, how do you build a business like this? What does that look like? What's going on behind the closed doors, right? What does it look like back there? So this was something where we really had to dive into this crazy world of business. And so having left having left Disney, I did own a restaurant for 9 glorious months. It was the best business hands-on experience I could have ever gotten, to be honest. I learned a lot about things I didn't know. And one of the big things that really came out of there was how businesses, small businesses, don't get a lot of access to marketing and business materials. A lot of us start a business, like me, with really having no freaking idea what I just walked into, and then don't know where do you go for the resources, right? So I closed the restaurant. I joined this amazing company called Elite Marketing Pro, now called attractionmarketing.com. It was and is a platform that teaches digital media marketing to the network and direct sales industry. They've been around for God knows how long now, almost 2 decades, I believe. Started off by a gentleman named Mike Dillard, who partnered with a gentleman named Tim Irway, who worked with some incredible leaders in the industry, really putting a different spin on what you guys know today as the direct sales and network marketing industry. And there have been some incredible leaders that have come out of that training that have gone to kind of mimic that training elsewhere in the industry. And for that, super, super grateful. So there is, like, I guess, the godfather of all this marketing education in the network marketing industry that has evolved to what it is today. So I got to work for this amazing company. I came in first off as an affiliate. I was really curious. I was in the network marketing industry at the time, got into this. And then from there, I loved the community so much, and I really wanted to see more people succeed because I was having success. I was actually doing really well as one of their affiliates. And I said, let me figure out how to teach this to other entrepreneurs. And so I started managing their community without really having the title of it. And then from there, within a very few short months, I was the director of client experience, running and supporting one of the biggest coaching training programs at that time in the network marketing space. I completed my time with them. I then went on to coach. I became the one of the top 5 Pinterest trainers in the network marketing industry. And today I am now the co-owner and CEO of Truth Bomb Academy, and more specifically, the creator of Unlocking My Millions. So it's a little bit about me, and how I got here was because I went through the burnout. I went through the financial high of making the money in different businesses. And what I was struggling with was keeping the money. What I struggled with was maintaining that constant level of go, 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 because that's what I kept getting told to do. Just do more, just do more of that, just do more of that. And so that led to my eventual burnout about 2.5 years ago. And this idea that maybe there needs to be more truth in marketing and more truth around what it takes to be a woman in business. And like I said earlier, those 2 books have really been like the catalyst for what we've been teaching today. So the big piece for me, when you learned how to unlock your millions as a woman, it starts most definitely with you first. And it's understanding the science of your hormonal system and understanding what those 4 phases are. And to me, I want to share that with you because that's important. So this first day is really just setting the stage for understanding that you are a female and your body cycles hormonally differently than the men, which means how you approach business, life, health, food is different than the men. You're going to have a different response to it. And so a lot of this is going to be testing. A lot of this is going to be you putting into action, seeing if it works for you, finding the right mix, the blend for you, finding the right rest for you, finding out when you can take time off or take time down or step away. Like all of this is incorporated into this training. So the first thing you want to write down is the Infradiam Rhythm. And I'll go ahead and drop that in the comments over here. So it's Infradiam. It's INFRADIAN rhythm. And this is the description for the female business cycle. This is actually how our bodies hormonally works. So within this Infradian rhythm, we experience 4 phases of ourselves. This is why if you always like say, I'm not the same person every single day. Well, guys can say that. They're like literally the next day, they can restart over again, right? So they're definitely the perpetual motion of our society. Women were the flow. And so when you start tapping into your 4 phases and leveraging that and using that, magic starts to happen, a better understanding, a syncing of listening to your body. And really, women are super intuitive because we create life. We are the creators of everything around us. There isn't a human being on this planet that wasn't created or at least, birthed in some way because of a female. Like you need our eggs, you need us in there. Men can't do it on their own. We are a critical part to that. And we host that life, right? Our bodies are designed to create, hold, nurture. And because of that, we create a very unique bond with almost everybody around us. And with that bond becomes this ability to be able to read facial expressions, able to sense emotions, able to have this like spidey or tingly sense about the world around us that is often dismissed by the men or put down or made minimized because they don't understand and they cannot comprehend what we experience as women. And they will never will, which is why partnership and that collaboration, whether in friendship or relationships, is so critical between men and women because we need each other to balance. One's race is not superior to the other. It is the yin and yang. We need the masculine, we need the feminine, we both carry it, and we need that balance between each other as we move forward. So here are your 4 phases to just be aware of. And you might have heard just like, okay, most women, I know they talk about, okay, what's my ovulation time? Because if they're looking to get pregnant, this is a big part of what they're looking at. And we also talk about your menstrual cycle because we think it's a menstrual cycle, but it's not a cycle menstrual. It is a rhythm. It's more than just your uterus preparing for birth. It really impacts your thinking. It impacts how your brain is working. It impacts your so many different levels, the foods you want to eat, what you're craving, and tapping into that and getting back in tune with that is really the bigger piece of all of this. So the first phase you want to be aware of is what we call the follicular phase. The follicular phase is the first 4 to 7 days after your bleed. So if you are still having your bleed. This is right after your last day. Then the very next day would start your follicular phase. And sometimes there's an overlap. Your last day of your period could actually be the first day of your follicular phase. So there is overlap. It's not like concisely cut off, right? Because women, we flow. So we flow naturally. We don't have like this hard cutoff, between our phases. So don't get hung up on that one. Just understand that first phase, that follicular phase that we have is your body is actually preparing for the possibility of life, right? And what's interesting is that as your body prepares for that, your brain is at its the most beautiful time. It's one of the beautiful times during this, because right at this time, you actually have the ability to do a lot of higher level thinking. What I mean by that is that this is a good time to be strategizing, whether it's for your business, whether you're homeschooling your kids and you need to strategize for what you're going to do for their school year. If you need to strategize a better financial plan for your business, if you need to strategize your marketing and what that might look like for the next 90 days, this time period, these 4 to 7 days, is the time period to really sit in that. Your brain is designed to have that higher level thinking during this time because it's preparing for a higher level of life. So your body is amped up. You're ready to, this is an important part of our phase for us. So clarity, the ability to really think things through, to see the bigger picture. This is a really important phase for us. And learning how to master this phase in the different sections of our business and in our lives is critical. And what's fun about this is that you can choose each month to really put something at work into your life. And we know that within that 30 days, you can complete an entire cycle and really have a better understanding of what you're doing in your business, what you're doing in your health. So instead of having to take on everything every single day, it's more like, what does the flow look like? What does syncing with my natural 4-phase cycle look like? Okay. So follicular phase, the next piece of the puzzle is your ovulatory phase. Ovulatory phase, this is where you are actually the most talkative. This is the time period where inside of it, what we're being told is this is your best time to communicate. So whether you need to communicate with your team, whether you need to communicate with your spouse, if there's something on your mind and you've been struggling to kind of find the words for that, this phase, this ovulatory phase, this time period where your body is preparing for the possibility of life, your brain and your body are also saying, woohoo, let's go out and talk and communicate, right? Because it is through this communication, it is through this interaction that you potentially could find a mate, right? That's kind of what with the background thinking of this. But this is a time for you to be, if you do videos, this is a great time to be doing your videos, recording those videos, doing your podcast, go hanging out with your girlfriends, spend time with them. This is a really critical piece that was often missed, right? Because we think, okay, I'm introvert, or we are so worried about what's blocking us from the past that we're not stepping forward into what's actually being created for us, what our bodies are actually telling us as women. So the ovulatory phase is great for communication. Have those hard conversations, start being outgoing, start doing your networking events around this. And once you find that cycle, you'll see this. It doesn't mean you can't be talkative and creative around your other different phases, but you'll find during certain times of the month during these phases that this is actually a truth. And it's kind of fun, actually. As I've become more in sync with my cycle, this is actually a fun thing to look at, ooh, what do I want to do this week? The third phase is what we call the luteal phase. So the luteal phase means that the body says, oh, we did not have the spark of life. We're here, but we might still have some potential. There's something going on. But this is the time where we find that we're getting into the details. This is a 10 to 14 day time period where we actually are more productive. This is our productivity time. This is the time during the month where we can, what's seeming like superwoman, right? We're able to get a lot of stuff done. And all of a sudden you're looking at it's gee, I was really productive today. I got a crap stuff done that normally I would have procrastinated on, or it would have taken me forever. And knowing that, what I found really interesting during the luteal phase for me was that during that phase, there were times when in the morning I was super productive, by the afternoon I was dead, right? And then there were times where I was kind of slow in the morning, and the whole afternoon, evening, I was like a crazy workaholic, right? So it fluctuated. It wasn't necessarily one or the other for how I was approaching the day. I just started listening to my body. Did it need a little more rest? Did I, take on too much the day before? Was there any added stress into my life? Was I eating the right things? And all this played into that balance of how I felt during my luteal phase. And so, but I do know that I definitely get down into the nitty gritty of it. And I tend to overthink things during my luteal phase. And so sometimes I have to stop myself as the CEO of a company, be like, okay, I'm getting way into the weeds. Let's step up and get above this and look over the grass again, right? Let's look at the horizon and see what I'm actually shooting for. So there's a lot of different things that happen during the luteal phase that I think is really interesting once you start tracking this and monitoring it, right? The fourth phase is, of course, what we mostly know, which is the menstrual phase. This actually is the menstrual phase, right? So if you're talking about your menstrual cycle, that's one thing, but this is your menstrual phase. This is that 3 to 7 day time period where you're going to bleed. And what's really interesting, I found this fascinating when we were doing the science and reading in the flow. This is what she talks about, the brain activity that women experience during the menstrual phase. Did you know that your left and right side of your brain are the most active in communication together? They are literally connecting and talking to each other more and more. Like, you have more connectivity going on during your menstrual phase than any other time during your cycle, which means your brain is super active, which might be why you find yourself needing to rest a little more, right? Yeah, you knew you had two voices in your head, and especially during that time period, they're probably competing against each other. But this is super important to understand, is that because you have such a high level of thinking and your brain is actively working in a way that is not typical for men, right? And because you have days of this type of intense communication between your right and left brain hemispheres, there is time to rest. There is time to reflect. And actually, during the menstrual phase, one of the things that are recommended is to reflect, to evaluate, and to schedule your rest. This is critical for women. You need the downtime. You need the time to take a deep breath and be like, whoo, I'm having ice cream. I'm going to sit here and watch a rom-com and just leave me alone. I've got to tell my husband, he's got to take the kids away. You need to be in communication around what you need as a woman. And so often we don't communicate it because we're not listening to our bodies and we put everybody else ahead of us. So inside of this, I really want you to understand that these 4 phases massively impact the longevity of building your business. It's going to impact your overall health. It's going to impact how you engage with your family, with your children. And really, at the end of the day, for me, I wish and pray that more women read this book, even if you're perimenopausal, postmenopausal, or have had a hysterectomy and have you had your uterus removed, and you're like, does this still apply to me? And my answer is yes. Because here's the thing, what I innately believe, whether science is caught up with my belief system or not until it proves me wrong, if you've had a period, you've kicked off this cycle at some point in your life. And I believe, and we talk about all the time, the body holds memory. We remember things that are going on for this. So one of the ways that we talk about how do you track this later in life is that we talk about the moon phases. So men are circadian rhythm. That is the sun god, we actually call it that, right? But when you talk about women, you talk about, it is literally, we are night creatures. We are the goddess, right? So we typically are ones that reflect back what's going on in the world. And I think the moon, when we talk about the moon, reflects light of the sun. It shines back to them what is working, what is not working. And that's really what women are. We are a reflection of our environment. And so when you talk about the lunar phase, or the lunar phases and how to do that one, you start understanding your own sense of that energetic energy that I just described through those 4 phases. We don't diminish ourselves as women because we don't menstruate anymore. Your body holds the memory and the experience of it, and so does your brain, because it's happened every single freaking month, right? It is something that we have experienced culturally and as women that makes us unique. And I think we need to be having more conversations around what it is to be a woman and what we're dealing with, because only through these conversations Can we explore new opportunities and really find our balance and find our voice where we feel like we're voiceless, where we can step up and feel confident, where we felt like we should be small and shy and hide away. This is where when we understand and listen, right? And we stand up and say no more, and stand up and say that's not how this is for me, but we've got to be able to come at it from our own understanding of ourself. And in that we have strength. We can heal our past. We can complete things with our ancestors, and we can acknowledge our younger selves. But really stepping forward, you have to understand what the psychological, physical, and mental things that are happening because of your beautiful infradian rhythm, and just how much that impacts you, just how much the need for connection and girlfriends and sisterhood is such a critical part of who we are as women. It's not about us competing with each other. It's about us in collaboration with each other. And the more that we hold each other's hands and lift each other up, the better the society and the infrastructure we build. Because when we build up women, they build up their children. And when they build up their children, they make a difference. When we build each other up as women, we feel confident in what we're doing. We're also giving that confidence to the man, having him step up into his greatness. It all starts with us. And until we really get back centered into who we are and growing that, we are always going to be at the effect of less than 3% of female business owners are going to be millionaires, right? Less than 12% of us are ever going to hit six-figure income. You're statistically always going to prove what is right because we haven't stepped into what's new. And that's the shift of what's happening inside of Unlocking My Millions. Yes, absolutely. The structure of a business is there. It has to be. And I'm grateful for that because that structure allows for us to have this conversation inside of Unlocking My Millions. It has us ask the questions, does this languaging work for us? Do women need a different type of listening? Do we need to hear things differently? And the answer is yes, right? We actually need to hear different, the same phrase said, but in I would say not a gentler way, but in a more like fulfilling way. Like the language of women doesn't truly exist because we've always been at the impact of male driven language, right? I love this. I was watching Sage Levine the other day, just watching her training. And one of the big things, my biggest takeaway from her was that the language around sales. Men say, I charge X for my service, right? And charging. So charging for the male is very masculine. They charge into battle. They charge into the fight. They have this need to take control of it, right? They have this ego of, I've got to be worthy for this. This is the typical sales experience. How many of you guys have ever said, I feel salesy, right? It's because for women, that approach doesn't feel natural. It doesn't align with how much we receive into our lives. It doesn't align with the flow of what we actually know and want. Like we will receive in our lives. We will give in our lives. And so what I love what Sage says is like when you're talking to somebody and you're ready to make that offer, and when you're ready to present an opportunity or something for them, you say, typically I receive $449 for this. Or I often receive $449. And then from a women's standpoint, you feel like you're receiving it. And then you got to get ready to receive it, right? You've got to be ready and open that door and say, okay, you know what? I'm letting this energetic money flow into me. And I'm going to receive it because I know that at the end of the day, I will over deliver because I do care. I do want to make sure that I'm adding value to somebody's life. I don't want to take away from them. I want to see them grow. So a lot of with this first day, this challenge is really giving you a sense that you're not alone in feeling like you should have something better. There should be something more as a female business owner. And the reality is there should be, and there is. Unlocking My Millions is the gateway. It's the stepping stone to really walking into like a warm embrace. It's where we do talk business, but we also talk about how do you fit this into your life? How do you blend this in with family, with friends, with everything else that you've got going on for your health? How do you take time for yourself and not feel selfish? How do you take time for yourself and not feel mom regret? How do you take time for yourself? It's because you got to first understand your first initial cycle. You have got to understand your energetics, because only from there can you effectively communicate what you truly want and need. And being able to communicate that really creates a level playing field for so many of us. Yes, we can talk business, we can talk strategy, we can talk marketing, we can talk money, we can talk automation. We will talk all of that because that's what we do. But at the same time, it's about honoring who you are as a woman and not saying you've got to go faster. It's not saying you got to get more done. It's learning how to repurpose. It's learning how to use automation. It's learning how to breathe in your business. It's not all go, 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 go. Because if you are all go all the time, I promise you will burn out, fizzle, and die. And then you'll look back and ask yourself, is it worth it? See, we want to create here, Heidi and I want to create, and our team want to create female millionaires that have longevity. We don't want you just getting to $1 million. We want you sustaining that type of income level, but we want you to do it in a way that feels good for you. Everybody wants to get, or many women want to get to that millionaire status, but it's not a one-time hit. I'd like to make $1 million in a month. Great. What about next month? Do you want to make $1 million next month, or do you want to learn how to make it and sustain and continue to grow that $1 million into multi-million dollars, into generational income, and learn the secrets that many of us women didn't think we had access to? But you may be because you're in an environment with all these guys and you don't feel comfortable asking the questions that you want to be asking. So this is the big piece. This is the difference, right? It's time to have a new conversation. And that's where I invite you today. So this is your first day of your challenge. My question to you, my piece for you is definitely write down the 4 phases, get familiar with them, and then ask yourself, where do I want my business to go? How do I want to incorporate this into my life? If I had the chance to really wave the wand, and I love this comment altogether, if I had a chance to wave a wand and have the world be what I want it to be, what would it look like for you? How would business, health, family, and life look and feel? Right? What is it? What do you desire? And it's not about anybody else. I really, truly want you ladies to look at, what do you desire? What is it that you want your life to look like in a 360 degree? What do you want for your children? What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your family? But ultimately, what does that look like? What would the perfect balance of business and financial success look like for you? How would your day look? How would your month look? How would your year look for you? And that's the magic of what Unlocking My Millions can provide for you. So I really want you to sit down and share. So once you write down, think about, what is it that I want to get in here? What is it that I want to have out of this? What is the balance that I really want to achieve? What would that look like for my day? I want you to do a comment inside the playground. So you'll head over into the playground. That's the chat group. If you go into your activities feed, you'll see it at the top. Go ahead and click on the playground, open that up, and go in there and share. Share what it is that you really want for your life to look like. You can put numbers, you can put faces, you can put names, but I really want you to write it out, because here's the thing. Writing it, putting it out there, putting it in front of other women says, this is what I want to create. And from there, Unlocking My Millions can provide for you the gateway to really create and craft that into your life. It is a life and work balance, because we prioritize life over work as women. We don't work to live, we live and then we work, but we also play. And it's time to bring that creativity, play, and fun again. All right. So you with me on that? Are you ready to go play? Are you ready to have some fun in your business? Are you ready to create it in a way that makes sense for you? Because it's going to look different for each one of you women. But that's the beauty of what we're going to share with you. All right. So tomorrow coming back. So today your task is your fun play excitement is to go into the playground and create your day. Create what it is that you would love your business and your work life to look like. Is it stress free? Is it there more family around? Are you traveling? Like what does that look like for you? And it could be anything. There's no like right or wrong way to answer this. There's no dreaming too small. I hear that all the time. You're dreaming too small. You know what? I don't think there's any small dream. I think the small dreams are your big dreams. And don't let anyone tell you your dreams are too small or your dreams are too big, because they're your dreams and I want you dreaming it. Okay? So definitely like share that with us. And tomorrow we're going to talk about cash management. The two things that really are the structure of a business is one, women understanding how we cycle. It is so critical for everything we're about to dive into. And the second piece of this challenge is understanding your finances. And I'm going to put you a little to the test. I'm going to make you a little uncomfortable tomorrow. But the idea is that to create the awareness. Because inside of our program, Unlocking My Millions, we are pushing through barriers. We are breaking a lot of myth information that's been gifted to us that isn't helping us as women. And so we're breaking those bonds. We're tearing those apart, and we're re-looking at and reevaluating and reimagining what the world of business actually looks like for women and what we want it to be. So with that, stick around tomorrow because money talk is coming up. How do you receive more money? How do you manage the money? And how do you keep money in your life? No matter what past traumas you've had, no matter what past beliefs you have around money, there's actually a way to rewrite your belief system by following the habits you've already created. And they're not bad habits. They just need to be redirected in a better approach. So stick around with me tomorrow for day 2 of Unlocking My Millions Challenge. I hope you guys got some great training from today, that this made sense for you. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow again at 2:00. So join us. Let's have some fun and get ready to rock. It's time to unlock your millions.